Hello, and welcome to Budget Commander. On this channel, we'll discuss Magic the Gathering topics with a focus on playing Commander on a budget. We'll cover things like deck building, top cards, deck techs, and more. Let's get started. Hello friends, today we have Atla Palani Nest Tender versus Momir Vig Simic Visionary. If you want to see deck lists or deck tech videos, those will be down in the description below for either of these decks. Otherwise, we have the Momir Vig deck. This is a +1/+1 counters deck. The goal is to get out creatures, pump them up with +1/+1 counters, and then overrun our opponents with just huge stuff. The Atla Palani deck, the goal is to populate, so get a whole bunch of creatures out and just multiply, make as many as you can, and overrun your opponents by going wide. So go big, go wide. We'll see who wins. Atla Palani is going to start us off by playing a Boros Guildgate. It enters the battlefield tapped and can tap for a red or white. She'll then pass the turn to Momir Vig, who plays Simic Guildgate, very similar, enters the battlefield tapped, but can tap for green or blue. He'll pass the turn back to Atla Palani, who plays Grey Pelt Refuge, which enters tapped. When it enters, she'll gain a life, and it can tap for a green or white. It goes up to 41 total health, and then passes the turn to Momir Vig, who plays an island, and then pays 2 mana for the Sphere of Suns, which enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters, and then you can remove those charge counters to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. Momir Vig will pass the turn back to Atla Palani, who plays Elfham Palace, enters the battlefield tapped, and taps for a green or white. And then she'll pass back to Momir Vig, who plays an island, and then passes back to Atla Palani, who plays a Tranquil Thicket, enters tapped, and can tap for a green. Otherwise, if it was still in her hand, she could have paid a green to discard it and draw a card. Then she'll play Cultivate, which costs 3, and it says search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one of them onto the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So she'll put a mountain into the battlefield tapped, and pass the turn to Momir Vig, who plays Blighted Woodland, taps for a colorless, or you can pay 4 and sacrifice the Blighted Woodland to search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Atla will then play a Plains and bring herself to the battlefield. So for to cast 2/3 creature that says pay 2, create a 0/1 green egg creature token with Defender. Then if an egg you control dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Momir Vig doesn't like this, so he'll pay 4 to play the Frilled Mystic, which is a 3/2 creature with flash. And when Frilled Mystic enters the battlefield, you may counter target spell. So he's going to counter Atla Palani, sending her back to the command zone, which makes her cost an additional 2. Momir Vig's then going to begin his turn on tap and go straight to combat. Attack for 3, bringing Atla Palani's life total down to 38, and then he'll pass the turn. Atla Palani's going to play a Vivid Grove, which enters the battlefield tapped with 2 charge counters on it. You can tap for a green anytime, or you can remove a charge counter to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And then she's going to pay 6 for a Hellkite Charger, a 5/5 flying hasted dragon. And the Hellkite Charger, whenever it attacks, you can pay 5 and 2 red. And if you do, untap all attacking creatures. And after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So a great way to get some extra combat in. She will go straight to attack Momir, 5 damage to the face. And then Momir Vig, at the end of turn, is going to activate the Blighted Woodland, sacrificing it to put 2 forests onto the battlefield. And then he'll untap and cast New Horizons, an aura that enchants a land, and that enchanted land can tap for 2 mana of any one color. Also, when that aura enters the battlefield, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So that +1/+1 counter is going to Frilled Mystic, making it a 4/2. And then with the newfound mana from the Horizons, Kiora's Behemoth is going to enter the battlefield, a 3 to cast Planeswalker with 7 loyalty that can untap a permanent by -1ing. And whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. Momir Vig is going to go to combat and swing at Atla for 4, bringing her life total down to 34, and then pass the turn. Atla's going to go to combat, triggering the Hellkite, so paying 7 to gain an extra combat step and untapping the attacking creatures. And she's going to attack Kiora, bringing Kiora's life total down to, or loyalty count, to 2. And then second combat step, attacking Kiora again, sending her to the graveyard. Passes the turn to Momir Vig, who then plays an Altered Ego. Altered Ego can't be countered. It's a 0/0, and when it enters the battlefield, you can make it a copy of any creature. So Momir Vig will copy the Hellkite Charger, except for it's going to enter with additional +1/+1 counter on it. So Momir Vig decided to put an additional +1/+1 counter, so now he's got a 6/6 flyer and a 4/3 grounded creature. The flyer's hasted, so he's going to go to combat and swing for 10, and that's going to bring Atla Palani's life total down to 24. Passes the turn, and Atla Palani is going to cast Tristani's Judgment, exiling the Altered Ego, and then go to combat, swinging at Momir Vig for 5, bringing his life total down to 30. Passes the turn, and now Momir Vig is going to enter the battlefield. He's a 2/2 for 5, and whenever you cast a green creature spell, you may search your library for a creature and reveal it. If you do, shuffle your library and put that card on top. If you cast a blue creature spell, you may reveal it, reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a creature, you can put that card into your hand. So a great way to tutor up creatures that you need, as long as they are green-blue. And then Momir Vig's going to go to combat and attack Atla for 4, bringing her life total down to 20. Next turn, Atla's going to start out by going to combat and activating the Hellkite. So once again, going to take 2 combat steps. First one, she's going to deal 5 damage, bringing Momir Vig down to 25. Second one, looks like he's going down to 20. Passes the turn, and then Momir Vig casts the Nimbus Swimmer, triggering Momir Vig. So he's going to put Gyre Engineer on top of the library and then draw it. And the Nimbus Swimmer comes in where X is equal to 5, so it is a 5/5 flyer. And then move to combat. Momir Vig and the Frilled Mystic are attacking, bringing Atla Palani's life total down to 14 and a commander count up to 2. Passing the turn, Atla Palani taps out to cast the Giant Ataphage, a 7/7 trampler, and whenever a Giant Ataphage deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Ataphage. And chooses not to attack and passes the turn to Momir Vig, who starts out by casting the Gyre Engineer, which triggers Momir Vig and puts the Elusive Crassus on top and draws it. And then plays a Forest for turn and passes the turn. Atla Palani untaps and casts Rampant Growth, searching the library for a mountain, and that enters the battlefield tapped. And then casts Soul Foundry for 4. When Soul Foundry enters, Atla Palani gets to exile a creature from her hand and create a token that's a copy of the exile card, where X is the converted mana cost of that card. So Soul Foundry enters. I didn't get to see what card it was that she discarded from her hand. And then second main phase, cycles the Forgotten Cave for a red, so discards it to draw a card. And then passes the turn. Before or during the end step of Atla Palani, Momir Vig is going to cast Nature's Claim for 1 to destroy the Soul Foundry and give Atla Palani an extra 4 life, bringing her life total up to 18. Then Momir Vig's going to untap and cast the Elusive Crassus, a 0/4 that's unblockable with Evolve, triggering Momir Vig and putting the Plaxcaster Frogwing on top and drawing it. And then he'll play the Gateway Plaza for a turn. When it enters, he has to tap a land to pay 1. But next turn they'll both untap and you'll be able to use the Gateway Plaza for a green or blue. And then passes the turn to Atla Palani, who untaps and puts an aura on the giant Ataphage, giving the creature haste, which is irrelevant, but can pay 0 to untap the Ataphage once during a turn. So essentially giving the creature vigilance, allowing it to attack and then be able to block the following turn. It's kind of better for Atla to get that card, but we will pass on that anyway. Then cast Shamanic Revelation, which draws a card for each creature. So Atla's going to draw 2 cards and gain 8 life off of Shamanic Revelation, putting her life total up to 26. And then pays 2 to put out a 2/2 changeling, essentially an egg if we can get Atla on the table. And then passes the turn to Momir Vig, who opens up with a Cloudfin Raptor, which triggers Momir Vig. However, he gets a miss, there's no creature on top, and so the Cloudfin Raptor just hits the battlefield. And then cast the Plaxcaster Frogling, which will trigger Momir Vig, putting Varel the Hulklade on top and drawing a card. The Plaxcaster is going to enter with 3 counters on it, and you can pay 2 to give a creature with a +1/+1 counter Shroud. So great protection for the team. When the Plaxcaster Frogman enters, it triggers the Crassus and the Cloudfin Raptor. So after those triggers, everybody's got +1/+1 counters. The Plaxcaster Frogman's got 3 of them. And then casts Varel of the Hulklade, triggering Momir Vig, putting Coiling Oracle on top and then drawing it. When Varel enters, it's going to trigger the Cloudfin Raptor and the Plaxcaster Frogling. So the Cloudfin Raptor is going to grow, and the Plaxcaster Frogling is going to send a counter over to Varel. Then passes the turn. Atla Palani untaps and plays Amara Tandris, a big body, a 5/7 creature that prevents all damage that would be dealt to creature tokens that she controls. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any creature tokens right now. And actually, that's kind of unfortunate because Momir Vig's battlefield is getting kind of big. She will send the giant Ataphage into combat, and Momir Vig decides to block with the Nimbus Swimmer, Plaxcaster Frogling, Varel of the Hulklade, Cloudfin Raptor, and the Frilled Mystic. So giant Ataphage has a lot of choices as far as where to put the combat damage, but before they even go through that, Momir Vig is going to cast Inspiring Call, drawing a card for each of the creatures that he controls with a +1/+1 counter, which is 6, and then all those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. All the creatures that he chose to block with were creatures with +1/+1 counters, so after combat, the giant Ataphage gets destroyed. Atla Palani then passes the turn back to Momir Vig, who starts out by playing Growth Spiral, drawing a card, and putting Rogue's Passage onto the battlefield, as he gets to put an extra land from hand onto the battlefield from Growth Spiral. And then pays 6 for Biogenic Upgrade, putting a +1/+1 counter on the Nimbus Swimmer, the Elusive Crassus, and the Cloudfin Raptor, and then doubling the counters on them. So after Biogenic Upgrade resolves, we have a 12/12 flyer, a 4/8 unblockable, and a 6/7 flyer. And then Momir Vig plays Simic Growth Chamber as the land for turn, returning a forest to hand. And then plays Coiling Oracle, triggering Momir Vig, putting Simic Sky Swallower on top and then drawing it. And then when Coiling Oracle enters, the Plaxcaster Frogling triggers to spread out some counters, as well as the Oracle, which will put Blighted Cataract onto the battlefield. And then we'll see the Talisman of Curiosity into the battlefield, a 2 to cast artifact that can tap for a colorless, or you can tap for a green-blue, dealing 1 damage to yourself. And then Momir Vig is going to go to combat, swinging with the Nimbus Swimmer, Elusive, Crassus, and the Cloudfin Raptor. Atla Palani chooses not to block, bringing her life total down to 4. And then Momir Vig passes the turn. Atla Palani plays a Evolving Wilds and sacrifices it to fetch up a forest to the battlefield tapped, and then casts a Johnny the Great-Hearted, a 4-to-cast planeswalker that gives all the creatures he controls, or she controls, vigilance. Atla Palani controls vigilance, and then it enters with 5 loyalty counters. She'll use the -2 ability to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature she controls, and another loyalty counter on all the other planeswalkers, which are none. And then moving to combat, swings with Amara Tandris and the Hellkite Charger. They have vigilance, so they don't have to tap, which is nice. The Plexcaster Frogling is going to block Amara Tandris, and then the Hellkite Charger is going to deal 6 damage, bringing Momir Vig's life total down to 14. Second main phase, Atla Palani casts Growing Ranks, a 4-to-cast enchantment that allows her to populate at the beginning of her upkeep. And then she will pass the turn to Momir Vig, who plays a forest for turn, and then goes to combat, swinging with the Nimbus Swimmer, the Elusive Crassus, and the Cloudfin Raptor. Atla Palani decides to block the Cloudfin Raptor with the Hellkite Charger. It's a 6/7 versus a 6/6, so the Hellkite Charger gets eaten. No trample damage, but the Nimbus Swimmer and the Elusive Crassus go unblocked, bringing Atla's life total to -12, making her knocked out for this match. So, highlights. Atla Palani, we didn't really get to see much from her because she got countered and then never got recast, which was unfortunate. We didn't get to see any populate triggers, so that was too bad. But we did get to see the Hellkite Charger, which put in a lot of work this game. Got a lot of extra combat steps, a lot of damage in, and the Giant Adaphage, which slowed down Momir Vig as he was getting into a commanding position, but then she a little bit stabilized, giving her time to possibly draw a board wipe or something. Just didn't happen. Highlights from Momir Vig's side, he just got to trigger a ton of times. I don't know, 5 or 6 times, something like that, getting a bunch of cards. The Frilled Mystic was really powerful in that it shut down Atla Palani, sending her back to the command zone, and then Inspiring Call, being able to draw 6 cards off of it and making all of the creatures indestructible, essentially killing off the Giant Adaphage. Really, really powerful. After the 5th match, we see Momir Vig move on, and Atla Palani gets knocked out. Tune in next time. So I'll see you guys next week for another episode. We're going to do Geth, Lord of the Vault versus Kalia of the Vast. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace. Thanks for watching. You can help support this channel by hitting that subscribe button. This will help keep you up to date on content from Budget Commander. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on this topic. And if you think someone else could benefit from this video, feel free to share. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk with you next time.